Hey, what's up? It's Adrian from Money Metrics here again, and today we're going to be answering a question from Debbie. So, Debbie is in a really good place for herself, but she also wants to make sure she's in a really good place to help her daughter, and she's asking us what we would do if we were in her position. So, first off, let's go over some of the details that Debbie has shared with us. Debbie has a household income of around $125,000. Debbie says that her and her husband together also have jobs which will provide them with a pension, so they're not worried about themselves through retirement. The only debt that Debbie has is the house that they live in, and the mortgage is going to be paid off by the time they retire. So Debbie in herself is in a very good position. Now, she says that with the way that she's living right now, she's able to actually save an additional $2,000 a month. And she wants to invest that money and put that money to work so that she's going to be able to help her daughter as her daughter starts her career and starts a family. So Debbie asked us, what would we do in her position to take that $2,000 a month and put it to work for something that she can leave to her daughter, or for something that can really help her daughter as her daughter starts out. So before we dive into what I would do in your position, the first thing I want to do is give a big kudos to Debbie and her husband. What they've been able to accomplish isn't something that's easy to do. They've put themselves into a very good financial position, so much so that they're now actually able to help others around them. So congratulations on your success. Now, if I was in your position, there's one of two things I would do, and both have different pros and cons to them, so let's kind of dive into them separately and see which one might be right for you, or maybe there's a third option that you'll choose to do instead. So the first option that I think that Debbie should explore would be to buy a rental property. Now, what I would do in Debbie's situation is look for a house that would be suitable for a family starting out, and if something that's suitable in her area where she also lives. Now, why would I do this? I would do this because it could be a great gift to your daughter once she's ready to take that step and move into a house. Now, what you could do is you could look for a starter property in your area, something where the mortgage payments would be around $2,000 a month. What you would do is you take that $2,000 savings and put them into the mortgage payment. You would also rent out that property until your daughter is ready to move in. Those rental payments could then also be used as cash to put down towards a mortgage paydown. That way, when your daughter is ready to move into a house and start a family of her own, you'd be able to gift this property to her, and she would be able to assume the mortgage off of you and not have as high of a mortgage herself because you've already been making contributions to it. Now, the other piece of that is house prices typically increase over time. So if you're purchasing something now, chances are when your daughter's ready to move into it, the value will have already increased to a point where maybe she wouldn't be able to afford that house without your assistance. So locking something in now that your daughter could move into and allowing that property to both gain equity and to have a mortgage pay down while your daughter doesn't use it, and being able to give that to your daughter as soon as she's ready to use it could be a great advantage to her. Housing is typically the number one cost associated to living, and if she's able to get into a house where she's not making as high payments because you've already had some of the mortgage paid down for her, or that she's able to actually afford in an area she otherwise couldn't, that could be a huge advantage to her in the future. Now, the downside of buying a rental property is obviously that it does take maintenance to keep up. It will take admin time from you, and it will require a higher effort. So if that's something that you're unable to do at this time, then it's completely understandable, and there's other ways that you could help your daughter. My second option would be something that's a lot more passive and that might carry a little less risk and a little less effort on your behalf, and that would be to invest in a dividend-paying ETF. So the great thing about ETFs are that you're not investing in any single stock, so it's not tied to any individual company, but it's tied to a portfolio of several companies, typically all which have very strong balance sheets, and it's a very risk-adverse investment. Now, the great thing about buying ETFs, which have dividend payouts, is that your $2,000 a month will not only be saved within these ETFs and will not only grow in size as the stock valuations increase, but it'll also provide additional income every month, and these dividends can either be reinvested or passed to your daughter. Now, the great thing about a dividend-paying ETF is that if you put it in a proper trust structure, which you'd have to speak to your accountant and your lawyer about, if you put it into the proper structure, it could be something that is passed down generation after generation. And if you're able to build up this ETF to something that's significant, that can actually, it'll actually be able to create passive income on its own, and it can pay dividends for generations to come. The last thing I want to say is your daughter is very lucky to have parents who themselves are financially aware and who themselves are financially stable enough to give this gift to her. And I hope that your daughter is able to take your gift and your generosity and help out her children or her eventual children with it as well. This is Adrian from Money Metrics signing off, and please do remember, if you have any comments, if you have any suggestions, if you have any input, please make sure you comment it below. And if you have a question for us, the link to my website is going to be below. There's going to be a form on there. You can fill it out. It's super easy to fill out, and I can let you know what I would do in your situation as well. So once again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, please subscribe. It helps a lot. It helps other people see this video, and I will see you next time here on Money Metrics.